Can you guess what mistakes I'm making while painting the ceiling? If not, then this video is for you, because I'm going to show you the top 4 mistakes DIYers and even some pros make when painting ceilings and how to avoid them. And no, it has nothing to do with roller size. Yo, what's cracking? Jeremy Vassar here, and I've been a professional painter for over 20 years. All the mistakes that I'm going to go over in this video, I have made myself at some point. I've also experienced them as I've worked with and trained other painters. So let's get into mistake number 1, and I'm going to start with the easier ones first, then I'll get into the ones that are a little bit harder to spot. Alrighty, replicating this mistake for the intro of this video made me wildly uncomfortable. As you can see from this footage, I was rolling that ceiling with no drop cloths or painter's plastic over anything in that kitchen. That's a great way to ruin a job and make cleanup a real pain in your cash and prizes. So regardless of the type of paint and roller cover you use, when you roll a ceiling, you're going to create spatter. You can often avoid the big droplets kicking off of the roller, but there's still going to be itty bitty spatter that will come off the roller and get on anything underneath of what you're rolling. The way to avoid that mistake is to thoroughly tarp off the room before you start painting. I like using drop cloths on the floor and painter's plastic on cabinets, furniture, and light fixtures. Once the room is completely tarped off, then you can just focus on painting the ceiling. You're not so worried about drips and drabs coming off the roller cover. Mistake number 2 is also somewhat obvious. I was rolling the ceiling while standing on a ladder and just holding the roller frame, and that's a great way to wreck your shoulder and paint a ceiling incredibly slowly. The easy fix for this is to use an extension pole. I'm a big fan of the Sherlock extension poles from Worcester, but there are a lot of good ones that you can use. Pretty much anything is better than standing on a ladder and holding the frame in your hand. Using an extension pole allows you to roll the ceiling while standing on the ground. It's faster, easier on your back and shoulders, and it'll help you get a more uniform looking finish. You just get better leverage and pressure on the roller cover when you have a roller extension in your hands. Way better way to do it. And by the way, if you're painting some ceilings and you want to know what ceiling paints I recommend, then you can check out my paint and primer guides inside of our free online community called Paint Your Home Now. I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested. Onward to some mistakes that are slightly harder to spot. As I was rolling the ceiling, the overhead lights were on. Them was going right into my eyeballs. Leaving the overhead lights on makes it quite difficult to see what you're doing as you're rolling overhead. This can lead to lap marks, missed spots, raspberries, and other errors that contribute to a suboptimal finish. When I paint ceilings, I like cutting off all of the overhead lights, then using work lights like this one to light up the ceiling. I also almost always clip a flashlight to my hat that gives me direct light from my perspective, and that allows me to see exactly what's going on with the roller as I'm laying down the ceiling paint. It's incredibly helpful, particularly on coat number 2 when you're rolling ceiling paint over top of the same exact ceiling paint. It really helps contribute to a much better looking finish. So of the 4 mistakes I'm covering in this video, mistake number 4 is the hardest to spot. I'll put an arrow on the screen to show you what I'm talking about, but you can see here that there are windows in the family room that allow sunlight into the kitchen. And I was rolling parallel to those windows. Doing that creates a higher probability that you'll see the lap marks in your ceiling, which is where the roller has overlapped itself as you've applied the ceiling paint. In general, if you have big windows in a room or you know that the sun shines brightly through a certain window, then you want to roll across or perpendicular to those windows. By doing that, you're much less likely to see lap marks or other defects in the finish. And if you're in a room that has a bunch of windows in it from all different directions and you're kind of confused as to which way you should go, you can go ahead and do what's called a crosshatch pattern. That means you just go one direction, so say you go widthwise on the first coat, then on your second coat go lengthwise, and that pretty much has you covered. Now that you know what mistakes to avoid whilst painting your ceilings, you may also be interested in avoiding some door painting mistakes. You can check that video out right over here. And until next time, take it easy, work smart, and have a good one. Peace.